how should ECOWAS look at these?
Well, I think for me, we need to look at the regional implication. And then, so that takes us here.
Yeah.
These are places where Wagner is believed to be very, very active. One, you have Syria, where they started, where they really cut their teeth. Then you have the Ukraine, and then you have the Africa. This plan, Ukraine is closer to home, so it's more easy to control. But then here now, Wagner is here, Wagner is here, Wagner is here, Wagner is here. So we need to be very careful with Niger. We need to make sure we have, what do you call it, support of every regional power. And then because Russia is very suspicious.
You are referring to the confusion between ECOWAS and Burkina Faso.
And Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
Because Russia would not want to antagonize Africa collectively. You know, when you go to the UN General Assembly, you have this G77, group of 77 countries. And Africa controls about 55 of the seats. So at a single block, African Union has a strong voice within the UN General Assembly. And then in the loggerhead between West and East, Russia and what do you call it, at any point there's going to be a vote in the General Assembly, Russia really needs African Union votes. So Russia is in no position to really antagonize African Union. But then, any attempt to really involve France in any decision into Niger, what may trigger Russia involvement? If you look at the fact that when France was exiting Mali...
But France has a military base there. Russia doesn't.
No, what I'm saying, if you look at when France was exiting Mali, it was replaced by Russia through Wagner. Same thing happened in Burkina Faso, right? So the question is, if ECOWAS is going into Niger, ECOWAS must go on its own accord, must not solicit help from, what do you call it, either France
but
or
ECOWAS
US.
cannot stop France from bringing support. If France wants to bring support, you can't say we won't take it.
Well, you have the choice to either accept or refuse. If you accept, you are converting to, you are not transforming the regional issue into a geopolitical issue, which will bring.
But that would be unfair to ECOWAS. That as a regional body, they should not accept from France because if they do, Russia will be angry.
The situation on the ground really goes against that. A typical example is today. Libyans are fighting
But
each
there
other.
are French troops there. There are French troops inside Niger. So it really makes sense that France will support the operation to protect.
Moreover, there's a growing anti-French sentiment in Niger. So any involvement of France...
There's anti-French sentiment all over in that region. We know that. But I'm saying that technically, if you're advising ECOWAS as an expert, France have troops there. They have equipment there. They have human beings there. So it is very normal that they will call ECOWAS and say we support there.
But the mandate that we are taking, that ECOWAS will be taking into Niger is an ECOWAS mandate.
It is an ECOWAS mandate.
And does not involve France. So France will stay aside. Because if you involve France here, you give a justifiable ground for Russia to intervene. But if you put France at bay, it remains an ECOWAS decision.
So you can accept from America?
Because
can you accept from America?
The problem here is that you see, when you allow one foreign outside actor to play a role here, and the next actor comes, then the solution will not even lie with ECOWAS anymore. It becomes an international, internationalized conflict.
Yeah.
And once it becomes internationalized, until the outside powers are able to negotiate and come to agreement, the conflict becomes intractable. If you look at the case in Libya today, in as much as we have historic reasons why the fight is taking place between the East and the West, until countries backing these two factions come to a consensus and stop backing them, there will not be peace in Libya. So we must avoid the same situation in Niger. First of all, we must try to use diplomacy.
So you think we did what's your prescription? You think that's what we did in Liberia, for instance?
Yeah, we went alone. And so
but America gave Ghana some support.
But even at that point, it was less what you call it competitive as we have today. It was just a unipolar world. But the world is virtually becoming multipolar, and the shifting, what you call it, realignment is bringing more actors to the scene. And even smaller actors are now playing a role. Look at the fact that even in Sudan here, Saudis and UAE are playing a very stronger role than African Union. And that is where, for example, today you can't even end the Sudanese conflict without bringing Saudis and UAE on board. We must avoid bringing outside forces into Niger, because once they come in, the solution will definitely leave our hands.
To that extent, I agree with you.
But once it remains an ECOWAS issue, be it militarily or diplomatically, we will still find a solution to it ourselves without the need for outside forces to make consensus. Even though, in as much as I, at one point, was in favor of intervention, but practically speaking, diplomacy will still be the best option.
That has expired, hasn't it? Diplomacy seems to have expired. ECOWAS have announced Burkina Faso is out of as a reaction, Burkina Faso is out of ECOWAS, or so they say. Nigerian rebels have invited troops to come and show both support. They are doing gun-boat diplomacy. So they are telling you that they are ready. So diplomacy at this stage really has expired.
Because the question now is, do any of this country, Nigeria through its fight against Boko Haram, has battle-hardened soldiers. But are they well trained for desert warfare? It's a different ballgame.
Well,
do we have
Nigeria has soldiers who have been operating in that
do we have enough numbers to cover the sizes?
Do you need to cover the whole thing?
Well, if they decide to give us a guerrilla battle, we need to cover the whole thing.
Well, you need to grab the airport.
It will be like an elephant.
No, you have to grab institutional centers.
That is when they come. But when US go to Afghanistan, they capture every city and fought for every single village till the last day they left. That's what we must avoid in Niger. We capture the cities and have to fight for every village till the day we leave.
But if you capture the cities, why do you have to worry about the village? They will come and attack you from there?
Once they can appear and disappear at night. You know, Mao Zedong once said, when the enemy halts, you attack. When he strikes, you hide. But at all means, you need to keep on fighting him. And that's what he used in defeating what they call the Japanese and the Western-backed nationalist government in China. So once they can still strike us, they always strike us. So diplomacy will be the best option. But even if we are going to use force, we must at all costs avoid the external actors. Once they come in, the solution wouldn't lie with us anymore. But once we use force, and it remains our solution. And then, quite interestingly, you know, initially Algeria wasn't really taking the matter very serious. But recently they saw that perhaps the threat of force is actually not just a mere threat, but something realistic that could happen. And then, because they share border with Niger, they were very careful of refugees inflow. So, you know, they initially stated that they were strongly against, they prefer diplomatic solution. And people equate that to be that Algeria is against military intervention. Algeria is suspicious of military intervention backfiring.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean Algeria is against, because Algeria stands to benefit from the Trans-Sahara gas pipeline. It goes through Nigeria, across Nigerian territory, into Algeria. And these three countries are actually the partners in the gas project. So any solution that comes here and precipitate, what do you call it, the realization of the gas project, Algeria benefits. Why will Algeria be against a coalition? So they sent their ambassador across board. He was supposed to go to Nigeria and then. So on the regional side, if we're able to sort of represent in Niger without bringing Wagner, we'll fine. But then Wagner will always be part of Africa, whether there's a replacement or not. But the question is, how do we make sure that we keep Africa safe in the course of this banter? We must always protect our interests. And there are those hours, this is just one of those pictures flying on social media.
How do you like my mutiny? He says, I'll tell you in exactly 2 months. In 2 months, he's dead. Okay, we'll leave it here, Bello. We'll leave it here. And that's on Bello's expert analysis.